Welcome to Gate City Insider and welcome to 2021. I'm Rosemary Plybon. While we are all glad to see the year 2020 go by the wayside, we know that on January 1st at midnight, a switch didn't flip that changed our whole world. We are still dealing with the realities of COVID and everything else it has affected, from our jobs to our relationships to how we feel about ourselves and our health, especially. So today we want to focus in on health. We want to talk about physical health, and we also want to talk about mental health, because this is a new year, and I know so many of us are thinking about taking better care of ourselves in this new year. We start today by talking about mental health and taking good care of ourselves in that way. Dr. David Gutterman is the clinical director of LeBauer Behavioral Medicine with Cone Health. Great to see you, and thank you for being with us.
Nice to see you.
It is great to see you too. Let's talk about 2020 a little bit. Looking back, what impact did that have on mental health, in general, you think?
Well, it's a challenging question because we don't know what the long-term effects are going to be yet. What we do know is that it has been a very difficult year, obviously, in so many ways, especially in the world of mental health. The levels of stress far exceeded, I think, what any of us anticipated at the beginning of the pandemic. It was a time we knew would be stressful, difficult, uncharted territory for so many of us. What we did not anticipate, I think, was the scope of it. The scope of it from all age groups, from young children through older adults. We certainly did not anticipate the tragedy of the number of deaths that have taken place, and we didn't anticipate the significant impact it's made on all of us with regard to our lifestyles and how we've all had to pivot and shift and make so many changes. So it was a year of unknowns, and it's taken its toll.
Let's zero in on some age groups just a little bit, and if you could share some generalities about things that you've seen and that it trends around, not just here in Greensboro, but around the country. Let's talk about, you mentioned children, so let's start with them. What kinds of things are you seeing in children, many of whom have been out of school now for 9 months?
Right. Well, kids, let me start with the good news, I guess, is that children in general are pretty resilient. Kids can manage through so many things much better than those of us as adults often do. But it has taken a toll. It has been very difficult. There's a lot of anxiety. I think it goes across the board, children to adults, but children are not immune from the anxiety they pick up from their parents, and from whether it's because what's going on in the household, everybody being sequestered into their homes, whether they're being taught at home or not. There are the issues related to the stress associated with that. With parents being put in positions of having to be teachers as well as parents, as well as trying to work. It's created a great deal of stress for children. So we've seen more anxiety among children than we have ever really seen before. I think that it's also extremely difficult for children to go so long without really having the normal interactions that they do with their peers. And this goes from the little ones on up through high school ages, where we're all social creatures. And so it's really difficult. You can only go for so long having Zoom meetings with your friends. And even the pods that parents were very creatively putting together with close friends and family, so kids can have interactions, which were some just really creative and really smart things to do. They're helpful, but it doesn't replace the experience of being back in a school, church setting, something like that, where they're used to just being with all their families.
And so how might some of that anxiety manifest itself? I mean, some parents are thinking, well, my kid seems to be doing okay, But what are some things that, warning signs that maybe they aren't doing as well as
Well, that's a great question. So you look for any behaviors that are really out of the norm for your child. You look for things that, whether it's difficulty sleeping, whether it's a child who's normally pretty easygoing, that you see a lot of irritability or agitation, or you see more social withdrawal. Those would be, some signs that kids are exhibiting stress. If you listen carefully, which I always encourage parents to get better and better about really listening to their kids, they often will tell you either directly or indirectly how stressed they really are. Having bad thoughts, depending upon the age of the child, depends on how well they can articulate what's going on with them emotionally. But really encourage parents to listen. The other thing I suggest parents do is, if you're not picking up on any signals necessarily that there's a problem, and things are seemingly going fine, I still suggest you check in with them periodically. You just check in. How you doing? Well, fine. No, kids will usually give you one word, answers, but really check in with them about, how they're feeling and what their thoughts are about the new year. We're in a new year. What are you thinking? Now, not much may seemingly practically change, here in January, right at the very beginning of the year. But hopefully, we're all, trying to be as optimistic as we can that things are going to be changing soon in the months to come. What are their thoughts about that? So engage in dialogue.
And that could create some anxiety too, going from having, been at home schooling and not being around people to suddenly being around some more people and going back into school buildings and other things like that.
That's a fantastic question. It's something a lot of people are not really anticipating, because the assumption is, as soon as things open back up, everyone's just going to embrace it and run to it. But we've spent months and months and months, telling our children, telling ourselves and our families that we have to be so careful and cautious, and it can be dangerous, to congregate with too many people, and suddenly, they're going to be back. My guess is the transition is going to be relatively slow, quite frankly, as the vaccine rolls out, and some people are taking it, some people are not taking it. So I think it is going to be a graduated re-entry. But your point is well taken, that talk to your kids and each other about what your thoughts and feelings are about re-entry, because everybody, not just kids, are going to have some anxieties about re-entry.
All right, let's talk about adults now. Let's really focus in on, parents. So we have parents who are parents and their caregivers to older adults, those who are living on their own, who don't have family around, either children or others around to help them. What are you seeing with that group?
Well, it has been a very challenging time. I could go on, if the show is a couple of hours, I could really go in depth about a lot of what's been happening with adults. But in general, I think suffice it to say that there's obviously a great deal of anxiety among adults. One of the anxieties, quite honestly, I've been dealing with for at least the last couple of months, and especially through the holidays and all of that, is the disparity between various people's opinions regarding precautions. Mm-hmm. That has been one of the most stressful aspects, and again, something unanticipated at the outset of this pandemic. Was the huge divide among people with regard to their needs and with regard to taking precautions. As you mentioned, there are people who are elderly or have pre-existing conditions. They were obviously more cautious from the start. But as you know, it goes well beyond that. People who have very different opinions about the pandemic in general. And that's created a tremendous amount of anxiety. It's created conflict. It's created conflict within families, between families, among friends. And there's going to be some repair, I believe, that needs to take place in 2021 as we deal with our own feelings about reentry into society. I think that there are a lot of feelings people have had about how others have managed, if it's differently than how you have managed. And that's going to be an interesting and important thing to address in the coming year.
Okay, and then our
That's-
older adults who I feel like have to feel so isolated, and just the depression that must be kind of just worsening, really.
Yeah, the older adults, it's been so difficult because again, recognizing that they are, although everybody's vulnerable, but they were the most vulnerable, and that was recognized fairly early on. So those folks who are living in retirement communities, especially, I've spoken with a lot of those folks, and they've been by and large quarantined to their facilities and quarantined to the grounds of their retirement communities or whatever, and so that's been really, really difficult. They also are going to be extremely, even more so, cautious than most people about reentry, and we need to respect that as well. And I think that that's something that, again, one of the things I believe that will help all people. We talked about the divide between how people experience the pandemic. As I have throughout this entire experience, encouraging everybody to please pay attention to the medical providers. There are so many different sources of information, different newspapers and televisions, and different opinions politically, especially. Try to utilize your local medical resources, and pay attention to what you're being told, because that'll help people at least start to be on the same page about the precautions we're going to need to take coming into this new year, and certainly in the front half of this new year as people are starting to slowly reintegrate back into society.
And of course, as you said, it's not, here we are at 2021. We're not flipping a switch. It's not instantly over. We can't go back to normal. And even if we could, we don't feel like it. We don't feel better. So how, we're all having these, unprecedented feelings. Nobody wants to, we're tired of hearing about unprecedentedness. So what do we do? We're kind of, at what point do we need to reach out and to talk to somebody or get help, or how do we take care of ourselves?
So you want to try and develop, to try to reconnect with your routines. That is, so for example, those people who have been very active and going to gyms, and their gyms are shut down. It's not safe going, so or they're not comfortable going, and so they've learned to find other ways to try to exercise. Like, for example, I tell people don't give up exercise. Just find other methods and means. The same answer goes for in these coming months. Slowly but surely start to reintegrate into some of those routines that are familiar to you. If you like taking walks or you like being outside, try to get back into that. Don't expect yourself. You talked about flipping a switch. Don't expect yourself just to jump right back into your old routines. You're going to have to build back. One of the things we didn't mention is the financial toll this has taken on so many people. And that's another cause of tremendous amount of stress and anxiety, depending upon your situation and what's happened with your employment. Unfortunately, this switch doesn't flip there either. And people have to build their way back. And people will build their way back. They may have to redefine what they do and how they do it, but it'll be a slow rebuild. And the same goes for our relationships. It goes for our routine. We have to slowly build our way back into our routines. We're all going to have some good days and bad days, right? But if you find yourself being stuck, that you just can't, that whether it's your lack of energy or you feel like you have this gray cloud over your head, there's a pervasive sadness or despair, or alternatively, or in addition to anxiety. Everyone will have, moments or times they're feeling a little nervous or anxious, but if it sustains and if it's either severe or persistent, that would be a time to reach out to a professional, talk to your doctor, and talk to someone about who can make a referral for you to speak to a mental health professional. Sometimes, frankly, it's only a matter of having a couple of conversations just to get some feedback and to recognize that your feelings are normal, but here are some strategies that you might want to engage in managing it. You're not alone. There are millions of people right now experiencing the same things, but sometimes we just need a guide, someone who can help us navigate this uncharted territory we keep talking about. And so help is there. I think the worst thing you can do is to be resistant to that, or try to ignore symptoms that you're having. So whether it's sleep problems, dietary issues, energy, anxiety, all those things are all manageable if you seek some help.
All right. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your insight, and good to see you again. And happy 2021.
Happy 2021. 2020 behind us. Let's look ahead, and good things will happen. So great to see you, and a happy and healthy new year.
If you would like to talk to a mental health professional, conehealth.com is a great place to start. Just search behavioral health. And when we come back here on Gate City Insider, we're going to take a turn and talk more about your physical body health and getting into shape in this new year, and using lots of the free services that the city of Greensboro has to offer through Parks and Recreation. Stay with us. Welcome back to Gate City Insider. We are talking all about health this January, and we want to really focus now on physical health and how you can get healthy, stay healthy, and maybe improve your mental health at the same time. Greensboro Parks and Rec is a great place to start for free and fun and good health. Jennifer Hance is Community Engagement Coordinator with Greensboro Parks and Rec. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Good to have you with us. Okay, so we talked a lot about about mental well-being in 2021, because of course there's a magic switch that flipped at the new year that means everything is back to normal, and we really need to take a really good hard look at ourselves and our well-being, physical and mental. So let's talk about physical, because I know Greensboro Parks and Recreation can help in so many ways. What do you have cooking in the new year?
So we're really excited because we completely agree with you that, that mental and physical well-being is so important. It actually, health and well-being is one of the pillars for our National Parks and Recreation Association. So it's really a foundation and something that we focus on here within the department. And with our facilities, we have many wonderful opportunities for people. As you mentioned, just because 2021 is here, it doesn't mean that flip will magically switch and everything's great again and the COVID is gone, but we have so many wonderful opportunities that are still available for people to come out and participate and be safe yet engaged with their family and their loved ones and with nature. And so we're really excited about a couple opportunities that will kick off in January. We're going to have our 21 for 21, which we are encouraging residents to get out and walk 21 miles in the month of January. And we have many opportunities for people to do that. We have walking loops within our system. So if people want to go from here and walk right back here and then leave, they can. Yeah, that's me too. I'm right there with you. We also have some trails where you go in and then you turn around and come back. So we have those opportunities for people. And then we have our gardens where people can go and walk through our gardens. We have neighborhood parks. So we have a lot of really wonderful outdoor amenities for people to go outside and get a little bit of fresh air and walk around and get some steps in after the holidays.
Yeah, and 21 is a very doable number.
Yes.
If you're watching this right the 1st of January, you're thinking 21 miles, but it's not like it's one day. It's over the course of the whole month. You could do 1 mile a day and you would surpass that goal. But I bet most people can do more than that 1 mile a day. So let's start with the loops a little bit. Can you tell us where some of these loops are that maybe we haven't visited before?
Yes. So we have quite a few loops here in Greensboro. If you go out to Hester Park, we actually have several loops out of Hester Park. There's 2 trails, and those are actually less than a mile. So those are short ones. They're easy places to start. So you can make multiple loops around those and get your mile in. We actually have some off of Brown Recreation Center, which is right near Hester Park as well. That's actually a half a mile. So if you just do that loop twice, you got your mile for the day in. The Country Park Loop, many people are familiar with that loop. That is just under 2 miles. So if you make that loop, and that one's got a lot of hills, so it's going to really get your heart going and get you moving and get you excited, which is really always fun. And then we also have some out at Brightwood Park, and we have in our smaller neighborhood parks like Shannon Hills and Westbury. So there's walking trails at all of those. And those are actually going to be listed up on our website. So we'll have a list of those loops. We're going to tell you where they are, how you access them, how long they are, whether they're shared use, meaning, for example, Country Park. You can walk on that, you can bike on that, and there is also vehicular travel or traffic on that. So we really want people to be aware of what the different types of loops are as well. There are some that might just be mountain biking. For example, at Keeley Park, you can get that mile in with mountain biking. We don't care how you get the mile in. We just want you to get those 21 miles. If you want to kayak those 21 miles, you can do it. If you want to bike them, you can do it. If you want to walk them, you can do it. So there's a lot of different opportunities to really get out and get active and get your heart moving and pumping in the right direction.
Okay, so talking about getting your exercise in, there's some great exercise equipment that is outdoor. You can be socially distanced, you can be safe, and it's free to use. So, one of my favorites that my kids love because we can walk to it is the Latham Park, that kind of right in there with all of those.
Greenway,
brand new stuff too at different parks.
Yeah, so on the Greenway there, we do have fitness equipment all along the Greenway there at Latham Park and the Lake Daniel Greenway as well. And then we have 5 different sort of one-stop shop outdoor fitness areas. Those are located, our newest is at Keeley Park. We have one at Henry Street Park, and that is actually our multi-generational park where we're really encouraging family members of all ages to go out and recreate together. We have one at Sussman Park, Steelman Park, and then Hester Park as well is another new one, and that's our Ninja Warrior course. So if you really like watching American Ninja Warrior, there's literally one of the walls that you can climb up, and the things you just like jump on back and forth. Like I don't know how people do all that stuff, but you can learn how to do it out of Hester Park.
All right, it seems like we're going to need a little bit of instruction for the one at Hester Park, or some of us might at least.
I do. So what we've actually done is we've gone out with a couple of our athletic staff, Trey Godet, who is at the Sportsplex, and Monique Floyd, who is one of our athletic directors. And we went out and we took pictures of them using this equipment.
Oh, great.
Because I'm the same way. If I looked at half that stuff, I'd be like, I don't know what to do with that. But it was so funny because we went out there and we're like, oh, this one you do sit-ups, and this one you do pull-ups, and this one you jump up. And so we have pictures of those different pieces of equipment and showing people how to use them. At most of the facilities as well, there's also a picture and sometimes even a QR code that you can scan and go watch videos on how to use the equipment. So our goal is to make it as easy as possible for people to get outside and utilize those facilities.
And lots of fun too. I mean, we want to be fun and we want people to be safe. So you're going to see signs everywhere reminding us about those 3 W's too.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's what's really important is we want to be sure that, before you head out there, wash your hands, be sure you're wearing your mask if there are other people around. And then be sure that you're waiting your turn to use equipment. Don't crowd each other on that equipment. Most of those fitness areas are spread out enough that you can have somebody at each end doing totally different things, but still getting exercise in. Also, when you're outside in the winter, we want to encourage people to dress in layers, sort of that onion thought where you can just peel off the layers as you go. So you might have a t-shirt on the bottom and then like a long sleeve shirt and then a jacket over the top. Because it'll be cold when you start, but as you warm up, your body's going to get warm and you're going to want to take some of those layers off. Also think about bringing maybe some hand sanitizer with you. So in between using the equipment, you can sanitize your hands as well. And sometimes, like we discovered when we were doing our pictures, if it's early in the morning, there might be a little bit of dew on some of the equipment. So you might want to bring a blanket just to wipe that off as well, so you don't slip or anything like that.
And definitely keep water with you. I know that's important.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Water is a must. I have my Parks and Rec water bottle that I always keep with me. So yeah, you want to have water. Even if it's the winter, a lot of people think, oh, just because it's cold outside, I don't really need that. It's not hot. You always want to stay hydrated when you're working out.
Definitely. So what kind of use have you seen, or what kind of increase in use have you seen with our parks since COVID began? And is it keeping up now that we're in these cold months?
Yes, we've seen a very big increase in the use of our parks and our gardens. When this all first started back in March, April, May, our hours were reduced. We went from our normal 8 to about 8 p.m. to 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And even with that reduction, we saw about a 30% increase in our use. And a lot of that is because people want to get outside. They want to do something, but also be safe. And a lot of, our outdoor activities and our outdoor amenities really allow people to do that. You can go walk in a garden and be distanced. You can go walk on a trail. And if you see someone, one group can step off to the side, let the other group pass. Same for being at one of our parks or outdoor fitness areas. They really allow the opportunity for us to get out of our houses when we all feel really cooped up inside. They allow us to get out and exercise, but still do that in a safe manner.
And will we see some more virtual programming from Parks and Rec throughout this winter and into the spring?
Absolutely. Our focus come January to about March is really going to be on that virtual programming. So it is going to be different types of virtual programming. You might see a contest online, like we had our gingerbread wars that we did back in December. You might see what we call sort of our passive in person, which is the idea of our 21 for 21, where people can come out to our facilities, participate in an event or an activity, but it's not necessarily a group activity. And then we'll also be doing some Zoom classes. We'll be doing things on Facebook Live. And then we have several, like our Parks and Recreation website and our GSO online website, where we'll be posting videos as well. So you'll see a lot of virtual opportunities, but not necessarily where you have to sit in front of the computer, which we've all been doing for a really long time, right? So some opportunities to get outside and even if it's just getting out in your own yard, us showing you things you can do and enjoy with your family and loved ones.
What kind of creative things have surprised you that you found people doing, ways to kind of keep their health, stay healthy mentally and physically over this COVID time, particularly in the winter?
Yeah, I think, the winter can be challenging because often with that cold, people don't necessarily want to go outside. I know I'm the one who wants to get my little blanket and bundle up, right? But we've seen so many people that have stepped out of their comfort zone during this time. We've seen a big increase in our kayaks. I mean, our kayaks have always been very popular, but we've seen a lot of people purchasing their own kayaks, purchasing their own bikes and going out on our mountain bike trails, things that people may never have thought about in the past, but are really just looking for different things to do. I was over at Bicentennial Gardens in the last couple of weeks, and we have a petanque court out there, which is similar to bocce. Okay. And there was actually a group out there, and they were playing bocce. And she said, we bought this. It was a pandemic purchase. And we bought this because we knew this court was over here and we could come over and play. And so they will come over with, a couple friends and everyone's spread out, but they're outside and they're exploring these new activities. And so it's been really neat to see people just step out of their comfort zone and try something new and different.
Yeah, creativity is the name of the game right now.
Yes.
To keep our sanity, I think.
So true.
Where's the best way to keep up with all the information?
Absolutely. People can check us out on our website, which is gsoparksandrec.com. The word "and" is spelled out. On our social media, all our social media handles are also at GSO Parks and Rec. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So you can find any information you need there, or you can give us a call on our main line, which is 336-373-2558.
Well, Jennifer, it's great to see you virtually as it is. And
yes.
I'll see you on the trails.
Absolutely.
Or
good
on a loop. Maybe on a loop.
Yeah, we'll meet on a loop.
That's a good plan. Thanks so much. Want to find a park, a trail, just a place to roam? Go to gsoparksandrec.com and you will find everything you need to know. That is our time here on Gate City Insider. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day and please take care of yourself.